I did not hear the last part of your query. The lady wishes to know, if I hear you correctly, is and will New England be fully supportive of the various resolutions that come from here in Virginia? Absolutely yes. In fact, madam, it can be safely stated that New England shares the same political sentiments as Virginia does at this present time, but she dares not to make those proposals herself. Virginia is not only the oldest British colony in America, we are the largest, the wealthiest, and the most populous. 1/6 of all Americans live here in Virginia. All of our sister colonies know that without Virginia, there is no possible chance of success in any bid for independence or any bid for anything for that matter. So they tend to wait for us to take the first step, and then they follow in behind. But you may safely say that presently New England and Virginia are very strongly aligned with regard to political sentiments, though most Virginians despise the people of New England. Let's face it, my friends, we Virginians know ourselves to be superior to everyone else.
Amen.
We know. And one more for the gentleman, please, sir.
Could you speak a bit about at what point you saw there was no way forward than the way you're going now towards revolution?
Certainly, sir. And I'm pleased that the gentleman has raised the question. He wishes to know at what point have I become very firmly convinced that this road to independence is the only course for us to pursue. Let me verify that, too, by saying that years from now, in fact, years after I am dead, my very worthy friend, whom I meet later this year, Mr. John Adams of Massachusetts Bay, is going to be recollecting this period of time and his involvement in it to a young Mr. Webster. And John Adams is going to assert absolutely assert, that, and I say, and I quote, at the first Congress, there was not one man among us, except Patrick Henry, who realized that we stood at the brink of a precipice. I will be alone. And as to when my views become rather clearly shaped, I would say to you, sir, that as early as 1763. 1763 was the end of the late war with the French and the Savages, of course. And that's when our great woes with our mother country began. Beginning first, perhaps, with the proclamation line of 1763. To refresh your memories about this barbarous action of the kings. It wasn't just British redcoats that fought in the war. There were many American militiamen who also stood their ground and in some cases most valiantly fought to the last man. We far outnumbered the red-coated forces in the late war with the French and the Indians. We came to arms because our king asked us to, not only because we were British subjects and wanted to preserve British liberty in North America, but we also had a promise made unto us, and that was that, well, we don't have any money to pay you salaries for your services to your king and country, but we will grant you land instead, land to the west. Now, land is wealth. All men wish that ability to gather land and be able to convey that wealth of land to their future generations. It's for that reason that our forebears came to these shores in the first place. Do you suppose that you have any chance of getting a parcel of land in England right now? Absolutely not. It's all owned by a few wealthy lords, noblemen, who then continue to treat the people who live upon those lands as villains and serfs. That's why we came here at our own expense, at our own risk, and carved something of this dark place. But then with the Treaty of Paris in 1763, George III made another promise, this time to the French king. And he stated that he was going to draw an imaginary line here in North America, and he was going to prohibit the settlement of Britons to the westward of that line. He then drew that line along the crest of the Allegheny Mountains. And the lands west of the Alleghenies were the lands that had been promised to men who took up arms and spilled their blood for king and country. So it began in that way with a broken promise, but at the same time there was a legal case.